Hey, what's up guys, Guardian here, coming to you guys with a discussion video today, going over my hopes for Cardfight Vanguard in 2026. So I actually did a video like this, well, pretty much a year ago at this point, about my hopes for 2025, and safe to say, I did pretty well for that, because all the things that I wanted actually happened. That was the English release of Blaster Blade the Vanguard. It was the announcement of Platinum Ezel coming to Standard, and it was also the hope that Grandview would get some support, which he did. It's not particularly exactly what I would like for the deck, but he did get some new cards at least, which was nice to see. But yeah, this year, I'm not going to joke with you guys. I'm kind of doing this more so to see if I can predict something that I'd really like to see. But I doubt it would. I think the last time I did this, it was a bit more plausible because, you know, we were kind of in the waiting room to wait for new Ezel cards to come out for Platina and stuff like that. And, you know, with Blaster Blade the Vanguard, it was more so just a promo. And, I mean, the last time we waited for a promo, it did take about a year. Looking at you, Emmeline. But, yeah. So, of course, you guys have seen the thumbnail. You'll know that the first thing I'm going to talk about is Garmore. I think Garmore needs to come back because although I do like Ezel, Garmore was technically the original Gold Paladin, you know, the head starter grade 3 from the old trial deck back in the day. And he is really cool. Like, he's a cool unit. And of all the different iterations that we've seen at Garmore over the years, you know, from like the Liberator Garmore and the G-Series one towards the end, and then we also got the V-Series Garmore in a very early V with the Miyagi Academy. Each iteration of the Garmore deck has always been fun. I know there was a very, like, degenerate version of Garmore at one point where it was, like, playing a bunch of stand triggers and, like, trying to do, like a billion attacks with one of those grade 2s to, like, countercharge 5 or whatever. I know that existed, but yeah, generally speaking though, when it comes to the Garmore deck, in its like purity, it has been quite a fun strategy. But I would like to see Garmore 2 come back, because we have seen a fair few cards that pretty much introduce the idea that Garmore could easily return, because we already have like limit break-esque abilities where they ask for 4 or more damage to gain a benefit or to use an ability. And yeah, I feel like obviously, the original Garmore was quite basic. It only gained 5k power for a limit break. So I think we could, like, make that a little bit better. You know, maybe 10k, maybe introduce a crit, probably. You know, Gold Paladin was a very, like, aggressive style deck. Very, like, beat down strategy. So I feel like something like that could match pretty well for it. Now, in terms of some other things, we would need to see probably some Gold Paladin support to go with him, because there was this idea of, like, if they were to do Garmore, when I was talking to some friends, we're a little bit concerned that if they did bring it back, it might be used as, like, support for Ezel probably, which, you know, obviously I'm not going to be too fussed about that. Of course I wouldn't mind. But Ezel's already kind of in the regions of using grade 3s and stuff. I don't really think that's what the deck needs. And I would much prefer Garmore to be its own deck, since I've very much seen Garmore as its own thing. Whereas Ezel is, like, got that superior ride gimmick. Garmore's always been, like, just a plussing engine, where it just calls a bunch of rear guards over and over again and just makes good numbers, you know? Something like that. So, in terms of other stuff I was thinking of, we also have to bear in mind this year. This is the 15-year anniversary of Cardfight Vanguard. Now, the last time they did a big milestone celebration for Vanguard, it was the 10th anniversary with the set 5, the original Overdress set 5. And that was a pretty big one. You know, we had Blaster Blade return, we had MLB, obviously, we had a Dragonic Overlord at the end, and we also had Phantom Blaster Overlord. Very big year for an anniversary. Now, the 15-year anniversary, I'm not going to lie, this is kind of where the this is where the ideas are kind of going to get a little bit wacky. Not too sure if these would happen, but it would be cool. So the first idea was, you know how they've been doing these like stride deck sets initially, and then recently they've been doing these master deck sets for some of the more current characters? Well, I had this thought, what if they could revisit the old Legend deck series from the G series of like Blaster Blade Exceed, Draconic Overlord the Legend, and Blaster Dark Diablo. I feel like that could be interesting because I'm more so looking at Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark, because these two cards are very outdated, and I'm not too sure with Dark when it comes to the PBO deck, because I know it's still played, obviously, because you need it for PBO, but Blaster Blade just does not feel good in today's day and age. Now, thankfully, we did get Ganslot revealed recently, which has made the card a bit more relevant now, but I do feel like Blaster Blade is more so suited towards MLB, because it can at least be more useful there. Alfred doesn't particularly have a good spot for Blaster Blade because your front row is pretty much like dedicated to Galatine, Soul Saver, and now Ganslot. So you don't particularly have a good spot for Blaster Blade to go to be useful, besides from just sitting in your hand and being like a resource that Ganslot can get back over and over again, which is fine, but it's not great, you know? So the reason I talk about this like Legend deck idea is because I had this idea of like, what if we brought forward, say, Blaster Blade Exceed, but we didn't make it a stride deck this time? What if we just made him just a normal grade 3 Vanguard that could empower Blaster Blade units? Kind of sort of similar to the way Ganslot was in V series, but, you know, not that technical, because, of course, the whole shebang of like turning your rearguard circles into Vanguard circles was a little bit wacky. We don't have to go that far. But even something around the concept of like maybe the Alfred G unit could be a good direction to go, where you can empower a Blaster Blade by giving it the twin drive ability, and it can perform drive checks, you know? We already have plenty of rearguards that can drive check now, so that's actually not as, you know, far-fetched to think of. But maybe not necessarily a twin drive, I don't know. It depends how far they want to go with it. But definitely a power increase would definitely help Blaster Blade. But in terms of the other two, not too sure whether to go with like Dark or Overlord. You know, that's something for like them to think about. You know, I'm also thinking about Blaster Blade. I'm thinking about my own thing, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So, with that being said, do I think this would happen? No. It would be cool, and it would fit the whole anniversary theme of the year, but I think it's a little bit too much to think that they'd go directly to the G series and do these Legend deck sets all over again with like new concepts for the main grade 3s. I don't think so. I mean, right now, especially, they seem to be more so focused around bringing more Legion units in. We had Super Dimensional Robo with Daikaiser, and we're also getting the Brawler Legion with Narukami for the Dragon Empire Nation. So, on that topic, I do think it would be pretty good to talk about a potential Keta Legion that we could bring back. Now, I know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, oh, here we go, he's gonna talk about Thingsaver Dragon and bringing that forward with Blaster Blade, maybe. I don't know, honestly. But I do think if they were thinking of the idea of Thingsaver Dragon, it would be kind of awkward, because these decks are like archetypal based, like around Seekers. But they did make the Thingsaver Dragon retrain in V not as focused on Seekers. It worked with Blaster Blade Seeker, but it wasn't like you didn't need a bunch of names in the deck, you know, for the Seeker archetype. So I don't know what they could do with that. But actually, I'm also thinking of someone else that they could bring back. And I need you to hold on to something when I say this, okay? I think it would be cool if they brought back Percival and Agravale. The Legion mate, Legion for Gold Paladin, the bluish flames. I think that would be a cool idea. You know, if we're going to go brawlers with, you know, Narukami and Dragon Empire, I think it would be really cool to bring Percival and Agravale back. Now, of course, people are going to get a little bit thingy with this, because Percival was a kind of a broken card in V series and still kind of is. But of course, we're going to go back to like the original Percival, the original Legion Percival with Agravale, and it would somewhat kind of have a similar style to Garmore, probably, you know, in terms of like just Gold Paladin-esque superior calling, call a bunch of units, you know, something like that. It's actually one of those decks for Gold Paladin that I kind of regret not playing at the time, because I wasn't interested because I was playing Royal Paladin with Thing Saber Dragon, and I didn't want to go bankrupt, so yeah. But that's sort of my current thinking right now in terms of things they could potentially bring back. Of course, one of the ideas is more so wacky, just me being like, you know, oh my god, I love nostalgia, blah blah blah, with the Legend deck stuff, but I do think if we were going down the Gold Paladin route, I would like to see Garmore, but if not, if they're going to go with the Legion idea, and bring more Legions to each of the different nations, I think Percival and Agravale for the Bluish Flames would definitely be appreciated amongst Keter Sanctuary players, because I think everyone pretty much likes the Bluish Flames. They were a pretty cool archetype. But yeah, that's going to do it for me, I think. Video is long enough to what I want it to be. So yeah, I'll leave it to you guys in the comment section below with your ideas, with your thoughts about what you would like to see in 2026. Hopefully there's been no reveal since I've made this, but yeah, I'm hoping to post this within a few days of recording it, so it should be up pretty soon. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. So thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you all in the next video. This is Guardian, signing out.